There are those of us Kenyans who dream of a William Samoei Ruto presidency. And of course, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, because it is your constitutional right. And unfortunately, a constitution cannot cover everything. For instance, a constitution cannot say that you're not allowed to dream of the presidency of person X just because they come from your tribe. The constitution cannot say that you're not allowed to imagine the presidency of a certain person because you're sure you're going to be rich because of your relationship with that particular presidential candidate. Now, of course, both reasons are the wrong reasons to choose somebody for the highest office in the land. Now, it is also true that those who fall into those two categories get very annoyed when an analyst like Kumekucha suggests that the choice is the wrong one. Indeed, as we have seen on this channel, they can get so annoyed that they can even threaten Kumekucha. And the same people will be over the moon when an analyst suggests that the choice for president is the right one. Excellent analysis, Kumekucha. Very good. Very well researched piece. But let us sober up for a minute. Put our emotions aside and look at this topic seriously. And I will start with a story. When Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki was elected the third president of Kenya, many of us were overjoyed. My political lecturer was sure that this was the right person to sort out the mess that was in Kenya then. Nobody stopped to analyze what kind of presidency to expect from Mwai Kibaki. Because had I done so, then it would have been very clear, even before he started his first day in office, what kind of president he was going to be. You see, people don't change. And that is an extremely important point to remember. And allow me to share a most fascinating aside here. Years ago, when I was in high school, I desired to be appointed the head prefect. And looking back today, I marvel at the research and analysis, which was extremely accurate, that I came up with. I believe I was born with those skills, and I thank God Almighty. And I pray that I'll be able to use them for the purpose, His purpose, because that's the reason why I was given those skills. Anyway, now, I went to a very unique high school. And don't ask me which one, because you'll be able to guess my identity very easily. At least people who would like to remain in the dark will be able to do so. And in that high school, the process of appointing the head boy was extremely thorough. It was based on three main aspects. First of all, the school administration considered the company that particular boy kept. The people you hang out with, can tell somebody very easily what kind of character you have. Number two, they looked for leadership skills in that particular boy. And one of the ways of identifying leadership skills in a student is from their participation in sports? Are they able to organize and lead a successful team? Or are they able, just by their presence, to inspire the particular sports team they're playing for? Number 3, the administration listened very carefully to the outgoing head boy and indeed the outgoing school prefects. They were students. Some of them had lived with the people being considered in the same dormitory for 6 years. In those days, we went from Form 1 to Form 6. Now, the super interesting fact here is that on most occasions, a vast majority of the occasions, the right boy was chosen, head boy, based on these 3 considerations, which were looked at very carefully by the headmaster as well as senior teachers. Now, for the curious, I ended up being head boy. But I must confess that on the first consideration, company, I was a loner. I didn't have many friends. So there was very little to analyze there. I played a few games, and therefore I'm sure I scored highly on the second point. Now on the third point, I'm sure I failed miserably, because years after I left school, I talked to a senior teacher, and they revealed what the outgoing prefects had told the school administration about me. At least most of them, because opinion was divided. Most of them considered me a weak candidate for leadership. I was too soft. I was not tough enough. And looking back today, I agree with that verdict 100%. They were right. But the main reason why I ended up being selected was a factor that became very important during my year. You see, in a previous year, a particular candidate who had ended up as deputy head boy had performed very poorly in their final exams. And all the senior teachers believed that the reason was that his appointment as deputy head boy went into his head, so much so that they forgot the main reason why they were in school. And this hung in the conscience of the senior teachers and the headmaster for a long time. And so in my year, the decision came down to looking at the Form 5 exam results, to gauge how strong academically a candidate was, and therefore to predict whether their appointment as head boy would affect their final exam results. And so it was decided to make up for my weakness, as a soft person, a soft leader. They would choose a very strong deputy head boy who was also very friendly with me. Problem solved. Back to the presidency. Mwai Kibaki played golf. Most of his close friends played golf. And although as finance minister, Kibaki was behind many initiatives that had impacted very positively on the common Kenyan. But the truth was, he did not understand the common man. But by far, his biggest weakness, which Kenyans paid a very high price for, was that he was not a politician. Mwai Kibaki was a lecturer at the famed Makerere University in Uganda when he was fetched by Kano, because the party realized they needed brains, they needed intellect well-schooled people amongst their ranks. And the messy politics involved in getting somebody elected was all done for him. And indeed, throughout his career, all the messy politicking to get him elected was always done by somebody else, for Mwai Kibaki. He avoided, like the plague, political mud fights, which are important, critical, in developing certain political skills in a politician, and especially in helping a politician to understand the electorate. This was in sharp contrast to his immediate predecessor, Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, who had come up the ranks, talking to the people on the ground, interacting with the people on the ground, and generally being very close to the electorate. And indeed, even during his presidency, and I've mentioned this before on this channel, it is said that Moi kept a black book where he had the telephone number of every unimaginable Kenyan you can imagine. That's apart from the DC, the chiefs in various villages, small obscure countrysides in the country. And that is why those who served in the Moi administration were always on their toes, because they would tell the president one thing and he would respond, "No, that can't be true. I've talked to so and so in your village and they've told me something very different." And so, in December 2002, we ended up with a president who was not a politician. Now I realize I've already gone well over my allocated time, and therefore we'll have to do this in part 2 of this video. Make sure you don't miss it, because I'll complete my Kibaki story and then analyze what a Ruto presidency will look like. Don't even think of missing part 2 of this video. See you there. This is Kumekucha.